Hello everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we are going to be going about the cutting of a Princess Dad Bustier 6 pieces blouse. This is very detailed and it's beginners friendly. So if you're interested in learning how to go about this, keep on watching. So we're going to be drafting on our pattern paper. I already drew out a starting line, which is where I'm taking all the other measurements from. So from this starting line, I measure down to my bust point, which for me is 9 inches. And I'm going to draw a line across. So shoulder to bust point, which is what I've just done here. Next, you will take a measurement from your shoulder to your under bust. I'm going to mark mine here and I'm also going to draw a straight line across as well. So this is my shoulder to under bust. Next, shoulder to waist. So I'm going to mark my shoulder to waist measurement here, which is at 15 and a half. Still leaving the tape at the top, I'm going to measure down to the length I want this blouse to be, which is at 22 inches here. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a straight line across these 2 points here. So this is the waistline and then this is the hemline. So these are all the measurements you will need. So this is the shoulder line here. This is the bust line. This is the under bust line. This is the waistline. And then this is the hemline. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and take the other body measurements. From the center here on the shoulder line, I came in by 3 inches for my neck width. And I'm going to come down by 2.5 inches for my neck depth just because this is a very high neckline. Normally you can do 3 by 3. So I'm going to connect these 2 points together to give me a round neckline. Next thing I'm going to do is from the center here, I'm going to go in by half of my shoulder measurement, which is 7 inches, and I'm going to come down by 1 inch. And from this 1 inch point, I'm going to connect a line to meet the center, the top of my neckline, just like you see me doing like this. Now I'm trying to draft out a basic bodice, so that's what I'm doing right now. Now from this point here, I'm going to go down by my armhole depth, and that's calculated by dividing your bust measurement by 6 and adding 1.5 to what you get. So I've drawn a line across and this new line is now my chest line. So from my shoulder slope, I connected a line to meet this chest line. And from the shoulder slope here to this new chest line, I'm going to divide what I have into 2 equal halves to get the midpoint so that I'll be able to go in by ½ inch to get my armhole. So I've gotten the midpoint. Now I'll go in by ½ inch here and make a mark. Now on this chest line, I'm going to come from the middle. I'm going to divide my bust measurement by 4 and make a mark here. So now this is it. I'm going to join these 3 points together to give me my armhole curve. So now I'm going to label again. This is the bust line, this is the under bust line, this is the waistline, and this is the hemline. Like I said, this one here is the chest line and this is the shoulder line. So now from the center here on the bust line, I'm going to go in by half of my bust pan, which is same thing as nipple to nipple measurement. I marked it here at the bust line. I'm marking it at the waistline as well, and I also mark it at the hemline. And I'm going to be using a straight ruler to connect all these 3 points together. Now on the under bust line, on the part going towards the center of my pattern, that's the neckline area, I'm going to go in by ½ inch. I mark this on the under bust line, the waistline, and also on the hemline. So I'm going to join all these points together as well to give me a straight line. Now on the other side, the part going towards the side of the dress, blouse, I'm going to be marking 1¼ inch just because I'm not very busty. But normally you should use 1.5 inch for this. Now I'm going to join all these points together as well to give me a straight line. Now I'm going to connect a curve from the under bust line where this line stopped to meet my bust line. But first I want to just make these lines more visible with my marker since we are already in the process of drafting out the princess star bustier. So now I'm going to connect a curve from the point here on the under bust line to the bust point here. And I'm going to do the same thing on this other side as well. After connecting the points from the bust line here, from the bust point, I'm going to go up by ½ inch. So go ahead and do the same thing. I'm just going to use my ruler to extend this from the bust point ½ inch. So once you're through with that, you're going to measure your armhole. So I'm going to be using my tape to do this. So I'll just measure from one point to the end of the armhole. You can see how I'm placing my tape. And I got 8 inches and I'm going to divide that into two equal halves. So I'm going to measure from the top again to get half of my armhole, which is right here, and I'm going to mark it. So from this point here, I'm going to connect a curve to meet the half inch I came up by. So I just use my cut through here to connect these 2 points together, just like you see me doing like this. Next, I'm going to measure up here on the armhole by half an inch. So half an inch above this line and half an inch below this line. So we're trying to get a dart for the armhole. So once you're through with this, you're going to use your curve to connect these 2 points that you just got to the half inch you came up by earlier from the bust line. I hope you guys understand. But if you don't, I'm demonstrating it right now on the screen. So it's actually easy to follow what I'm doing. So I'm going to connect from here to this point here. And I'm going to arrange the curve as well and connect from the other points that I came up by to the same point as well. So now once you're through with this, the next thing you want to do is to extend the dart line, this one here, this bottom line, by 1 inch. So I'm going to just use my tape to extend this by 1 inch. Make sure it's in a straight line from where the curved line is already coming from. So I extended that line by 1 inch and I'm going to come out like this, just 1 inch. You can see it's still like maintaining a straight line. Once you're through with that, you're going to also add the 1 inch from where your armhole stopped. So from where the armhole stopped here, I'm going to mark 1 inch here. So now this will become my new armhole. So I'm going to be using my curve to connect from here to here to give me like an armhole shape. So I'm just going to arrange it and then connect like this. So once you're through with this area here will no longer be the armhole. The new line I've drawn is now the new armhole that I'll be following. So now on this chest line, you'll notice that I have a little dart here, which was about half an inch. So from the side, I'm going to be adding that half an inch back. But instead of just half inch, I'm going to mark 2 inches from where my armhole stopped so that the extra 1.5 inch I'm adding will be serving as stitching allowance. So that was why I added 2 inches to that area. Now on the waistline from the center here, I'll mark my waist measurement divided by 4 and replace all these dots here. Okay, so I'll replace it back and then add an extra 1.5 inch for stitching allowance just like I did at the top. So I'll add it back here. So now I'll connect from the armhole to the waist. So I'll just connect from here to this point here. So I'm going to be extending the line of the armhole to meet this new side line like this. So go ahead and do the same thing. Now on the hemline, I'm going to divide my hip measurement by 4 and mark it here. And then after that, I'm going to measure the dart, the big dart that I have here, which was about 2 inches. I replaced it back. And then I'm going to add an extra 1.5 inch for stitching allowance, which just ended at the side of my paper. So I'm just going to connect from the waist down to where my hip stopped here. So now I'm just going to use my marker to trace out a straight line on the hemline here to make it more visible. So we're going to go ahead and cut this out. Before I do, I want to also draw out a straight line with my marker on the waistline just so that it will be easy for me to spot the waist when I am about to create the 6 pieces effect around the bottom of this blouse. So I'm going ahead to cut out this piece just so you guys don't make a mistake when you're cutting this out. I just want to mark the areas that will be removing. So this area is a dart. I'll be cutting it out and this area as well. So I'm going to go ahead now and cut out the remaining parts of this front pattern.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side.
So guys, this is it. This is how to go about the front. If you do not want to go about making a 6 pieces blouse, this is already a very easy to go princess that bustier blouse. So if you don't want to go about the 6 pieces, you can go ahead and use this to make your blouse without actually spreading out the bottom of these pieces. So now to make this a six pieces blouse, I have a piece of paper here that I just want to use and add to give me that white shape. The aim is just to open up the bottom of the blouse from the waist so that it kind of looks like a flare at the bottom. So now for the center front piece, I'm just going to go ahead and bring it. I'm going to be placing this piece of or paper that I have here. I'm going to be taping it to the side, just like you see me doing like this, so that I'll be able to spread out the bottom of this blouse. So I decided to tape it down from the inside instead of the front. You can tape it down from anywhere anyways. So this is it. So what I want to do now is from this part where the front ended, I came out by 3 inches and I'm going to connect it to my waist. Remember I marked my waist with a marker so that it will be easy for me to spot. So I just connect it like this and that's basically it. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut the other excess on the pattern paper out. So guys, this is it. This is how to go about it. Now for the other side, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I have taped the pattern paper to the side here towards the center and I'm going to mark the same 3 inches out. I'm going to mark it here and from this point I'm going to connect to the waist.
I don't wanna waste what's left.
So now this is it. If we place it together, you can see what it's going to look like. So on this other side, I'm going to also be adding as well. Unlike what I had on the center front piece, on the side of the front pattern, you're going to be adding to both sides instead of just on one side.
The storms we chase are leaving.
So basically on the center front piece, you're only going to be adding to one side. Now for the side front piece where you have the curve of the bustier showing very much, you're going to be adding to two sides. So you can see what it looks like in this video. Do not add to the center part.
Us, and love is all we'll ever trust.
Now for the back pattern, I have drafted out a basic back pattern. This is just a normal basic back pattern. And I've added my dart as well and a zipper allowance. Now I'm using my marker to draw out the waistline so that it's more visible. So after this, I came in by half of an inch on this waistline to prevent bulging at the back of this blouse when we fix our zipper later. And I'm just using my marker to just extend it towards the top and bottom. So go ahead and do the exact same thing I've done now. So once you're through with this, the next thing you want to do is to get the midpoint of your shoulder. So I'll measure from the neckline to the end of my shoulder and mark the midpoint here. So from this midpoint, I'm going to be connecting to the top of my dart. So just like this. It's actually very simple. Now the back is not going to be having the princess dart bustier effect, but we have to separate the back into two pieces as well, just because we are making this into a 6 pieces blouse. Now I'm going to make the hemline more visible like this. And that's basically all for the drafting out of the back pattern. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. So please look carefully at the areas I'm cutting so you know exactly where to cut on your own pattern.
No, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on.
So now I'm done drafting out the pattern and I've separated it into two as you can see. So I'm going to be adding the 6 pieces effect on the sides just like I did on the front pattern. So I have my piece of paper here and I'm going to be adding it on this side. Notice I'm only going to be adding it to one side of the center back piece as well. So now for the center back piece, I'm only going to be adding it to one side, just like we did on the front. So the part where I have my zipper allowance on the center back, I'm not going to be adding this extra. It's just on the side. So this is all for the center back piece. You are going to be placing it on one side. Now for the side back, you're going to be placing it on the two parts, the two sides. So here and on the other side as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And after I was done, this is what it looks like. So the side pieces should have it on both sides and the center pieces should have it on one side. So what I did here was what I did exactly on the back as well. And this is what the two back pieces are looking like. So now these are all the pieces we are going to be using, the front and the back. So the two front pieces and the two back pieces. So this here is the center front, this is the side front, this is the center back, and this is the side back. It's actually very easy to identify each of them. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out on my fabric. You know that we've already added stitching allowance to the sides of all these patterns, so all we have to do is to just cut them out on our fabric, which is what I'm doing here. In the next video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to pad the bustier and how to sew all of these pieces together. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. If you find it helpful, please let me know in the comment section, and I will see you guys in my next one.